Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I'm going to be talking specifically about Wrinkle in Time, the new 2018 film by Ava DuVernay, the director. It's a Disney film, and it is based on the classic science fiction novel Wrinkle in Time. There are major spoilers for both the film and the movie Wrinkle in Time in this content, in this review. All right, my review for this movie is it is a 4 out of 5 star movie. It has a lot of wonderful things in it. It was an enjoyable movie to watch. It has major problems that sadly, in my opinion, could have been easily fixed. And it is difficult to understand how a director with the intelligence of Ava DuVernay allowed these problems to remain in the film. All right, so let me talk about what I liked. All right. This is a visually stunning film. Ava DuVernay did a fantastic job of using the VFX, the visual effects within this film, the visual effects budget, the visual effects abilities, right? You really get a sense that this world is really unique, and she does a really great job of using that. You know what? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the film quality itself, and then I'll get into the story. All right, so it is extremely well acted. Storm Reed played the main character, Meg, and Meg is, the primary girl in this story. She is the main protagonist. It's absolutely critical that Meg is believable, and that you root for her in the story. And she does a great job of delivering that. It really was very interesting. Okay, so and then essentially, who else is in this film? So there are two other characters played by So Meg has an adopted brother named Charles Wallace. The young boy who played him, really strong acting job. I think that kid is going to be probably going to get a lot more work in Hollywood. Just a really strong actor. Kind of stole a lot of the scenes, not because he was hamming it up or anything like that, but just his presence is really strong. And then also you had this kid Calvin in the film. That role was adequately acted. It didn't bring you out of the film, right? The three main people who help the protagonist Meg are Mrs. Witch, Mrs. Who, and Mrs. Whatsit. Mrs. Witch is played by Oprah Winfrey. She was fantastic in this film. I think she was the best thing in this film by far. She was really compelling as a character. You really got the idea that she was exactly who she was supposed to be. This kind of celestial being, this space being was manifesting herself in a human form, right? And so she did seem alien and wondrous, exactly the way you would expect her to be, and the way she needed to be for the role. Mindy Kaling, I'm a big fan of Mindy Kaling from her days with The Office. I also have a lot of respect for what she accomplished with her Mindy Kaling show. The fact that it was able to run as long as it was, the fact that it built such a strong following. She's very funny, and she knows how to make you like her when she's acting as a character, and that was exactly here. Mrs. Who was really interesting in the story. She had this aspect where she only talked in quotes, and it was really wonderful. And Mindy Kaling did a fantastic job with it. It was really well done. The character was a lot like Bumblebee, and Mindy Kaling did a great job of bringing that to life. She also was very important from the perspective of books. Like, she was a book character because she constantly quoting people. She would be constantly reading, and they did a good job of showing that she was often surrounded by books, or you kind of bought that reading was important to her, and that was important for her character. Mrs. Whatsit was Reese Witherspoon, and she is kind of this mischievous operative, right, within this force that's helping Meg, and she did a very good job here. And overall, those three women really form a phalanx of talent within this film. Really well done. The acting in this movie is really fun to watch. You believe what you're seeing put on screen. The actors are really doing a great job of delivering these characters in a way that you can root for them, in a way that you can believe in them, right? So that was really well done. And that's pretty. Oh, there's also a villain in this movie, played by Michael Pena. I think Michael Pena is one of the most talented people in Hollywood right now. Michael Pena did a fantastic job. He played a villain called Red in this movie, and he did a great job with that role. Really, really well done. Chris Pine played Meg's father, and Meg's mother was played by an actress I had not seen in too many other things, but there were really, all of the acting was top-notch in this film. Like, there was nobody who distracted or pulled you out of the film through a poor performance, and that's a big deal. That belongs to that triumph belongs to Ava DuVernay, because a lot of directors will put actors into films for a whole lot of reasons, and there's a ton of pressure to put them in there. And a lot of times you can tell that an actor is not there because they're going to give their best performance, and you really did not get that sense here with anyone in the film. Excuse me. And I thought that's really important. I thought that was really excellent, and I really appreciated that about the film. Visual effects were fantastic. Let's talk about the story, okay? So the story is Meg's family is her mother and her father, right? So they were married, and then they had Meg, and then they adopted this boy named Charles Wallace. Meg's parents are scientists, and they have this idea that you can travel to other dimensions by tessering. Tessering is traveling through space and time by understanding math, right? And I'm not joking. The way you do that, the frequency that you travel through is love. Okay. All right. I guess that has to do with science. I don't know. Like, there were some problems in this movie. There was some really distinct problems in this movie. All right. So basically, what we're then presented is that Meg's father becomes impatient, begins experimenting with what they found, and ends up traveling through space and time to another part of the universe, specifically because he wanted to travel through space and time through the universe. So, in his own words, he could shake the hand of the universe, right? And at the very, very end, this is one of the things I really liked about the story. They did not shy away from what he had done. He was a father who put his work before his family. And at the end, he says to Meg, I wanted to go shake the hand of the universe, but what I should have been is I should have been here holding your hand. And that's a good message. And honestly, back in the 80s, this message was absolutely constant, right? That fathers would just throw themselves in their work and forget their family. I haven't seen this message in a movie in 15 years, right? But I really kind of liked that they acknowledged that there are some fathers who are so driven by their work that they could actually put their work in front of their family. And then they acknowledged it as a huge problem, right? So in the beginning of the film, we see that Meg is really very disruptive at school. She's having to have meetings with her principal, and she is in a position where she has become a hooligan at school, and she's a bad student, and she is even violent toward other students, right? So, which was shocking. Now, the violence is portrayed by her throwing a basketball at the face of another student, okay? So it's not like she's swinging punches or anything. But I was really shocked to see this message in the film. One of the messages in this film is that if you are a daughter and you have a father and a mother, and you are separated from your father for any reason, and that separation extends over a period of time, you are going to be broken. Horribly, horribly broken. And nothing in the world is going to fix that brokenness except for the return of your father. And in order to return your father into your life and keep your family whole, no journey is too much, no sacrifice is too much, as long as no one's being, as long as you're not directly harming other people. That was a clear message in this movie. When I watched it, that was a message that I think the movie was conveying, and I was shocked to see that message in this movie, that a daughter needs her father and her mother, and that if a father is pulled out of the life of a daughter, that daughter will absolutely be broken until that father is brought back, not replaced, brought back into her life. I was amazed to see that message in this film. It's one of the reasons why I rate this movie as a 4 out of 5 star movie, because this is really, in my opinion, the central theme, that the most important thing in our lives is keeping our family whole, and we should do absolutely everything necessary, and that the father has unmitigated responsibility to do everything he can to be there for his daughter, to never be apart from her. And if he is apart from her for any reason, everything needs to be swept aside so that he can return into her presence and be with her on a daily basis, doing the tasks of being a father. I was absolutely shocked to see that message in this film, but it's right there. And so in a Disney film, holy cows, I was shocked to see that message. I agree with this message, and I thought it was really extremely well conveyed in the movie. Okay. All right, so basically at this point, Mrs. Witch, Mrs. Who, and Mrs. Whatsit all come to Meg and say, there's a darkness in the universe, and we need to go find your father, and we're going to test her to find your father, and then we're going to free your father from the darkness, and then he'll be back together with you, and because he knows how to test her, people on Earth will be able to fight the darkness better, because he will be restored to Earth and be able to help the people of Earth control this power of Tesseract. Okay, so at that point, they Meg and Calvin and Charles Wallace all go on an adventure to restore their father to the family, to find him from where he left to, and then restore him to the family. And that's exactly what they do. Okay, all right, now that is a cool, cohesive story, and I liked it. Okay, here there were two major problems in this film. Okay, it is a whole lot, and I really felt bad about this, like, because watching Ava DuVernay, who is a brilliant filmmaker, make this mistake was stunning. This film is absolutely crammed full of tell, don't show, right? We are told that that Meg's parents are good scientists. We never see. I'm thinking, I don't think I ever saw her mother, who's supposed to be the even more better scientist, ever crack a book, right? Or you really don't, like, you see her standing at a podium giving a lecture, but you never actually see her doing any of the work of science. And Meg is the same thing. We're told she's a brilliant student, right? And that she's really smart, but you never see her reading books. She doesn't even carry a backpack. It's like, so throughout the movie, whenever Ava DuVernay needs us to understand something, a character, she tells us this is what this character is. She absolutely does not show what this character is or what this character is doing. And it is very, this is like day one NYU film school stuff. Show, don't tell. And I was just shocked how filled this movie was with tell, don't show. The other thing is, all right, this is the number one problem of this film. This film comes at you from the premise of it's saying a few different things, all that kind of meld together to make one message. And that message is, you have everything you need inside of you, okay? And so your spirit, your soul, your mind contains every tool you need to win. And that is 100% not true, okay? So basically, there's this darkness. There's this there's this villain in the film called the Darkness. And Meg has to fight the darkness. And Oprah Winfrey says to Meg, Mrs. Witch, you need to fight the darkness. And you need to be a warrior, right? Okay, I'm with you. All right, yeah, absolutely. If there's a horrible dark villain, and that dark villain needs to be thrown down, right? Then you need to be a warrior and fight the darkness. Well, here's the issue. If you are a warrior, then you need to take up the tools of war, weapons. And there is not a single weapon used in this entire film. There is constant reminders to Meg that you are a warrior. There are no warriors that don't use weapons. And even if there are warriors, I'm fully aware of like jujutsu and like judo, right? But there are warriors who don't use weapons, and they get wrecked by people who do use weapons. So that is my main problem with this film. This film really actually projects and says to people, you can be a warrior who does not use weapons and defeat warriors who use weapons. And that is 100% wrong. There is not an expert in the world who does anything, who doesn't use tools, who wins, right? You don't want an accountant who doesn't use pencil and paper and then computers. You don't want a hair cutter who doesn't use scissors. You don't want a lawn, somebody who cuts your lawn who doesn't use a lawnmower. You have to use the tools of the trade. And if you are a warrior, you must use weapons. And this movie puts forward very, very clearly. And that's exactly what Meg does. She goes to the darkness without any weapons. The only tools she uses are glasses that are given to her by Mrs. Who, which I don't even think are a tool. Glasses are something that are used to just make it so the impediment you have is no longer an impediment, which is short-sightedness or, short or far-sightedness or whatever your problem is with your eyes, right? So she uses no tools except for the glasses that are given to her by Mrs. Who, which I don't think really constitutes using tools. And she uses no tools at any other time in the film, right? And she goes to fight the darkness with nothing, no weapons, right? And logically, she is literally knocked unconscious by the darkness, and then the darkness is defeated by her being knocked down, which also, strangely, had carried another very odd weapon, which is, if you are not going to use tools and your weapons, then you will be using weapons, which are your own suffering, your own wounds, and your own defeat. And I'm like, what? Why on earth would you put that in this film, right? And so this idea that a warrior without weapons can defeat a warrior with weapons is absolutely absurd. And it really, it took that last star away from this movie and made it so that I really could not agree with the main premise of the film, right? And so that was my main issue. It absolutely is a 4 out of 5 star movie. I'm looking forward to new movies from Ava DuVernay. Absolutely not within this series. I think Wrinkle in Time needs to cool off for 5 or 10 or 15 years, and then somebody else can try it. This movie should not get a sequel, in my opinion, because it's just not. It is a 4 out of 5 star movie. I think it was worth every penny going to see it. It has some uplifting messages, but overall, the idea that a warrior without weapons will defeat a warrior with weapons is not borne out by history or logic or anything. And so I don't understand why Ava DuVernay put that message into this film. But the reason why I rate it as a 4 out of 5 star film is it does have messages which I do 100% agree with. And it was a beautiful film that was worth every penny paid to go see it. And that's my review of Wrinkle in Time.